What's going on, everybody? Welcome back to the channel. We're dropping another episode tonight. We're not keeping you very long, keeping you under 5 minutes here tonight. We're just going to break down quickly our biggest takeaways from the difference between English Pokemon TCG and the Japanese Pokemon TCG. So what we have is just 5 simple points that we're going to kind of go back and forth on, trying to make sure that people understand why we personally prefer to collect Japanese Pokemon TCG. But before we get started on that, here's the giveaway. Because we're such fan favorites of Japanese, and that's what the highlight of this video is, remember, like, comment, and subscribe. We are still hunting down our first 100 subscribers, and we're trying to give this card away free to one of you. All you have to do is enter, subscribe, and when we get that 100 subscriber mark, we're going to go ahead and post a video and give this card away to one lucky subscriber. Alright, so here let's go ahead and go through the 5 differences that we have for Pokemon TCG in Japanese, as well as English. Price differences, availability, and release dates. Obviously, things do change there, so we'll go over that just slightly. Next, number 3, quality control. A lot of people actually have a lot of preferences when it comes to English and some bickers, but we'll go over that. Value differences and grading. Obviously, we're going to break down that a little bit as well, and the exclusiveness of some of the cards that come out in Japanese. Like I said, we do have one little bonus point at the end, so stay. Number 1, price differences. With Japanese products over their English counterparts, they are way more affordable. Right now, obviously with English scalping and the product availability, prices are skyrocketing through the roof, which does make the Japanese booster boxes way more entertaining to grab, because now you can grab a box for 40, 50, 60 bucks opposed to the $200 equivalents of some of these booster boxes that are coming out. They do also come out more often, so mastering sets, if that's a goal of yours, is way cheaper to do so and way more achievable. Instead of chasing a $500, $600, $700 card, you can chase these cards from now that $40, $50, $60 range. Singles and slabs, obviously, like I said, a little bit more cheaper, but they definitely make it more affordable to bulk up your slabs, bulk up your raw copies, and bulk up your binders without breaking the bank. And if chasing a master set is your goal, like we said, smaller, more affordable sets are definitely more attainable to go for. So let's break that down. Master sets for Surging Sparks and Paradise Dragona and Super Electric Breaker. Now, Super Electric Breaker and Paradise Dragona are the 2 sets that do make up Surging Sparks. So now, if you personally, myself, my son and I, we weren't a big fan of Paradise Dragona, but we love Super Electric Breaker, chasing the big Pikachu EX, the SIR. So what we do with the prices, let's look. To master a Surging Sparks set, you're looking at $1,700 to $1,950, just shy of $2,000 USD at the time of making this video to master Surging Sparks. Now, that's just basic near mint copies. If you wanted to piece together just Super Electric Breaker or Paradise Dragona, you could do so for $550 plus or minus a few dollars, obviously depending on the market at that time, but way more affordable and way more achievable. Next up, we got availability. Now, obviously, you've been to a store recently, but Target, your Walmart, or you've popped online and seen how hard it is to get a hold of some English product in the world. I mean, all you can do is battle the scalpers or go elsewhere. And that's what we've done for quite a while now. Now, availability is great for actual Japanese collectors because there's social media channels such as Whatnot, eBay, TikTok, and we do shop 2 of those often. We do stay away personally from Whatnot, but we do shop TikTok and eBay quite often, as well as sell on there as well. Now, if you're blessed enough to have a local card shop in your area that stocks Japanese, we unfortunately do not, but I have seen quite a few people that actually shop and sell Japanese in their stores. We also use Smoke and Mirrors Hobby Shop and Poke.ne for our Japanese stock. Love both of those sites. They usually have great deals. Shipping is quick, shipping is fast, and they're very trusted sellers. Best part about it is you're not standing in line at 5 a.m., fist fighting scalpers or throwing elbows at Costco or getting knocked over. It's just not worth it to us. We love our Pokemon hobby. We love our Pokemon product. But one thing that we're always adamant on is we're not going to go out there and have to fight for this product. Once again, that's why we like our Japanese, usually in stock, usually able to be grabbed, and obviously for that affordable price where we're not having to be outside at 5 a.m. in line hoping to grab maybe a box or 2. Next up is quality control. We've all ripped a good old English pack open, pack fresh. Great, finally hit the SIR, top chase set, and got a corner ding, centering issue. It's just not fun. When you spend that kind of money on a product or you've been waiting in line, you're excited to get that rip, and the pull rates are tough, and you finally get the chase card you're looking for, and then you get just squashed on it. Well, let's look at Japanese. Now, anybody that's been to a card show with me sees Japanese cards as well as your English copies side by side, and then we just love the texturing, the vibrant colors, the texturing, the embossing, some of the speckle work, and across the board, we'll go over this here in a few. the centering, the quality, the edge work, everything just seems better. We've had no issues with Japanese. Like we just looked at that Pikachu EX from Terrestrial, Jolteon SAR, Gardevoir EX from Shiny Treasures, which is Paldean Fates, Alakazam from 151. The texturing is just top tier. When we've seen the difference, and if you've never seen it in person, definitely give it a look because it is just beautiful side by side to the English quality. And obviously, like we said, there's been no issues with us across the board so far. Now, knock on wood, hopefully that never changes, but they just seem to try a little harder with their product opposed to the Western markets. Now, here's where I usually lose some people, and that's okay. We're just trying to get our 2 cents out there and put out our tips of why we personally only PC Japanese. When you go to a store and you see these, or a show, and you see these raw copies, both English and Japanese side by side, raw copies near mint of obviously the 151 Charizard EX here. We're just going to use a top card as an example. You're looking at $233. In Japanese, that same raw copy, near mint, $179. But what you can see here is the drastic change in that PSA 9, PSA 10 price. But what does that mean for the people? Everybody's going to assume that because that $920 10 is worth 4 times as much as that PSA 10 in Japanese. But when the actual grading rate is drastically less, so you could tell me, and right, actually as of making this video, that graphic did go down to about 29%. So you're sending off 4 to 5 of these Charizards, hoping that one comes back at 10 in English to make your money back. Where you can now send off that same 5 in Japanese for a lower near mint raw copy price, the same $100 profit, but now you're getting an almost 80% chance at a PSA 10 Japanese copy. Obviously, that becomes back to their quality control. The centering is better. The texturing is better. The back of the cards, everything just usually is better with that quality control with the printing sides of the house for Japanese opposed to our Western markets over here in the US. Now, we understand not everybody's looking at actually flipping, grading, selling, or vending. But even if you're just the average collector that wants to send off a card, well, I don't want to sit here and wait 45 business days, which usually ends up being 3, 5, 4, 5, 6 months for a PSA to return my card that comes back an 8 or a 9. That's why, once again, we kind of tended to lean over the Japanese side because when you get that return on your investment, you see that you got a 10, that you actually pulled it, you graded it, you slabbed it. It's fun to see that you actually got that 10 back. And if you are actually grading and flipping and trying to get vending going and you want to turn this into a business over instead of just being a hobby, one thing that we've tried to live by as we started this business and kept going is it's always better to chase the fast nickel opposed to the slow dime. So if you're going to go ahead and flip 5, 6, 7, 8, 9 of these Japanese cards while you're waiting on your 1 gem 10 to possibly move, I mean, you're still going to make the same money, but way less risk on time there. Now, this isn't going to be a very major point for a lot of people, but like it's more prominent back in your vintage sets. Now, obviously, you're going to have that more in like your lower end cards nowadays in your modern sets, but it is 2 sets usually that make up an English Master set. So what that means is they take those 2 sets, pick out their favorites, and then they build that English set, which means some cards are very exclusive to Japanese. Now, I have a vintage Bruno's Steelix here that never had or an English copy made. Now, in modern cards, it's not very prominent because usually they remove some of the lower end base or bulk cards or your lower EXs, and they are going to keep their SARs, the illustration and art rares. All your top cards are usually going to be the same. The only thing that's going to be different is if they have preferably like a Japanese tournament that has a promo card that won't actually ever come to the English copies. All right, let's get into the bonus note, guaranteed hits. This is usually where I either lose people or win people over because we've all ripped that entire booster box, booster bundle, ETB of English sets, and just been absolutely cooked. You finally get your hands on that new set or new ETB, new booster box, and get not a single hit that's even worth telling anybody about. But with Japanese, you are actually guaranteed a certain amount of hits in every single booster box so you can actually pull up on a website and see what you're going to get. Now, you can't guarantee a specific super art rare or a super rare or ultra rare, but at least you know you're going to get one. You could rip an entire box of a booster box of English and not be guaranteed anything. Now, why I said I lose some people sometimes, though, is because if you're only guaranteed 1 and 3 art rares, well, then at that point there, if you rip your 1 open, you know the rest of the box kind of loses its appeal for the fact that you know that big hit has already been taken. But for us personally, we like the fact of knowing that if we rip open a whole box for 40, 50, 60 bucks, we're guaranteed at least one like super art rare or one of those full illustration rares, as well as a couple other art rares on top of that. Now, we know prismatic evolutions in the English sets as well as English 151 did actually finally introduce God packs into the English Western market, but Japanese had several sets like that: Shiny Treasures, V-Star Climax, V-Star Universe, Terrestrial Festival 151, and you could actually get God packs that are better than the ones here. Now, obviously, I can't speak on that actual Prismatic Evolutions God pack that's worth several $1,000s, but it's always fun to have an additional chase and multiple sets where you can rip that one extra benefit of getting that God pack, which is just an added bonus. But as we wrap up, we appreciate you guys hanging out tonight. We just didn't want to take too much of your time, but don't forget, we are still trying to give away that 100 subscriber giveaway Art Rare for Japanese 151 Charmander here. Hit that subscribe, like, follow, and we'll see you next time.